Hey, welcome back to another YouTube video. So I'm back at one of my local fisheries, which is Spring Cottage Fishery near Moira in South Derbyshire. Got a match on today. It's on Chestnut Pool. It's not a big pool. I think there's only 20 pegs or so, and there's 12 anglers fishing it. So almost, I wouldn't say it's not quite full. There's a few pegs free, but we are fairly close to each other. So to make sure I don't disturb any other anglers, I will be doing a voiceover on this video today. So guys, for those that have not seen the thumbnail or didn't read the thumbnail or read the description, a little bit of spoiler alert, I did go on and win the match. So I do want to show you how I went on to do that, and I just wanted to really just demonstrate that sometimes just basic techniques is all you need, and that's what I did today. Fishing the waggler, feeding maggots and catching, getting plenty of bites, catching some fish. And there we go, we just got the all in, so just sitting there waiting, and we're now going to kick off. So basically, like I say, I was fishing. I think it was about 3.5 foot deep where I was, and I was fishing. Started off fishing just 6 inches over depth, and just catapulting in 2 pouches of maggots, probably every few minutes. I started off just, nice and light at the beginning, just catapulting in 1 pouch, but then I did up the game. Basically, I started bringing in some carp, did start swirling early in the match, so I would then start feeding much heavier, 2 pouches of maggots to try and nail them down to the deck. But we're just going to get started, and it took probably about 15 minutes before I got the first bite. But while I was waiting, I was making sure I was going to start feeding the margins as well for basically the best part of 3 to 4 hours was my plan. If I was getting bites and catching fish out on the waggler, roughly around 15 metres out, I would just stay on it. But I wanted to keep topping up at the margin. So I had a left-hand margin where I was putting in some chopped up mussels. And on the right hand margin there in the lily pads, I was also putting in some dead maggots. I had plenty of dead maggots with me. I had about 4 pints, so they were just going to all go in. These lily pads had been moving when we were setting up, so we knew there was carp in these lily pads. So if I wasn't really getting the bites, like I say, out on the waggler, I was going to come in on these margins, but the way it went, basically I was feeding these for the best part of 4 hours before I even tried them. And let me just now show you a little bit more on this waggler line. So I'm going to catapult in some more maggots again. So these just kept going in throughout the day. I had 2 pints of maggots with me. I did end up using up a pint and a half. So I didn't feed as heavy as I thought I would. I thought I'd get through the whole 2 pints if I was getting the bites, catching the fish. But it was enough on the day. So like I say, just casting out there, just feathering it in, and then just reeling it back, sinking the line. And this was the process throughout the day. So like I say, I think it's about 15 minutes or so when I got the first bite, but the float flew under and fish on. And so it didn't take long really. I mean, I was expecting probably a little skimmer, but we actually had quite a nice little roach. It was probably around sort of 4 or 5 ounces. And I could quite happily just catch these all day long. If they wanted to feed, I would have been happy catching these, because you'd certainly built up a good net of these. But I had a few of them, and a bit of a mixed bag, as you'll see throughout the rest of this video. But like I say, look at that nice roach there.
I've seen roach this big in here.
I was just making a comment there to my neighbour that I've never actually caught a roach around that size. There are plenty of them, and people do, but I just never had one before myself. So basically putting 2 maggots on the hook. So in terms of the setup today, I was fishing with 0.16mm diameter main line down to 0.13mm diameter hook length with a size 16 hook on. I had a 1.5 gram float on, casting out around sort of 15 metres, so 1.5 gram float was fine. I mean, the weather conditions, look, it was still as anything, there was no wind, it was absolutely fine. And I had just a number, 2 or 3 droppers down through to the hook length. So like I say, I had about 3.5 foot. I was fishing 6 inches over depth, and then later on in the day I did increase that. I felt like I needed to be more over depth, and I went to 12 inches over depth. Sometimes people don't always fish that much over depth, but it just felt like on the day it just felt much better being a little bit over depth than under. So feeding these margins again, I just kept topping them up. Like I say, chopped up mussels on the left hand side, dead maggots were going in on the right hand side, and I just continued doing that. I was basically topping up the margins every 10 minutes. I was keeping an eye on my watch. Every 10 minutes they were getting topped up for a good few hours of the match. So back out again, 2 maggots on the hook, and didn't take long, probably about a minute passed by and we got another bite, and this time it was slightly better fish. So getting a nice stamp of fish now. I caught a couple of roach, decent roach at the beginning, had a couple of skimmers as well, around sort of 3-4 ounces. Now got ourselves a tench. And this one's probably around sort of 6-7 ounces again. Just getting slightly bigger as each fish came along, and that was quite nice to see. So I think feeding those maggots 2 pouches at a time was definitely the right thing to do, and it was bringing in a variety of fish into the swim. I also had a couple of carp swirl as well, so when I was just feeding probably a little bit lighter, the carp were just up in the layer, so feeding that a little bit heavier was also pushing them down. Put the coat on, temperature dropped. Was expecting a little bit of rain. I say expecting, the weather forecast was supposed to be sunny, nice and warm and sunny, but the weather gods had a different view, and the rain does come later on. So there we go, look, throwing in or catapulting in 2 pouchfuls of maggots, and it again didn't take long, probably about 2 minutes went by, and float shot under, and we had another bite. This time it was a carp. There we go, floats under. Unfortunately, because of the distance I was fishing, you guys can't, I can't zoom in on the float. I know you guys like to watch the float go under, but it's 14-15 meters. You can't do it with the type of camera I've got. So but you can see I got the bite, got a fish on, decent fish. It was carp, as you'll see. I'll get it in about 5 pounds. So that main line, 0.16mm diameter main line, was really important because I knew there was going to be some big carp in here. I mean, there's even bigger carp as well, so up to the double figures. So, which I think if I'd have hit a double figure carp, I probably would have got broken. And this one was just taking me for a bit of a run here. Unfortunately, went into my neighbour's swim. There wasn't a lot I could do about it, so apologies to my neighbour there. And we do get him in, just taking our time here. I didn't want to lose this, being the first carp, and it was going to be an important one. This particular day, I didn't think we was going to get much more than probably around £20 to £30 to win the match. So every carp was going to count. Only really needed 3 to 4 carp along with the silvers, and I felt fairly comfortable that if I was carried on feeding, this carp would already come in. There would be a couple of other carp as well. So taking our time, making sure we get this one in. Just going to fast forward a little bit. So just about to get his head up, try and get him to the netting stage. And I missed the first time, second time lucky. There we go, turn him round, get his head up, and we get him netted. So like I say, this one was about around sort of £5. So get this one in the net and back out again.
Hey guys, hopefully you're enjoying these free videos. Just a quick reminder, if you haven't already, please do go and subscribe to the channel. Click the subscribe button. It's free and it's easy, and it only takes about 2 seconds. It's a massive help, more than you know. Also, don't forget to drop the video a like, give it a thumbs up, and at the end of the video, if you can spare 30 seconds, please do go and leave a comment. Just let me know what you like about the video. Let me know what techniques you use. But thank you for watching. Now let's get back to the main video.
So I caught that carp, cast it straight out again, put the rod down, about to pick my catapult up, and as soon as that hook hit the bottom, it float shot under again. The way it went, I thought I had another carp, but it wasn't. It came in much easier, but I did have a good skimmer this time. So I had a good variety of fish here. I mean, like I said earlier, I was catching roach, catching some small skimmers, caught a tent. I got this nice skimmer, had that decent carp, and it was a good mixed bag. I was quite happy with that.
Decent.
So again, we get this one in, and we go back out again. So just before I go back out again, I decided to put some extra depth on. It just felt like it's the right thing to do. I mean, I was already 6 inches over depth and I was getting the bites and catching fish, so maybe I didn't need to bother, but I was catching some decent skimmers now at this point. I just felt like being more over depth was going to be the right thing to do on the day. I was still catching the carp as well, and if the carp were feeding, they would have still took it being over depth. So that's what I did. It just gave me a bit more confidence. Again, casting out again around the sort of 14 to 15 metres, catapulting some maggots over the top. It was just a routine now for the rest of the match. And it didn't take long, about another probably 2-3 minutes went by, and the float shot under again, and another fish on. There we go. And we got another carp. So, like I said earlier, I just needed three or four carp. That was what I wanted for the day to really get in the running and frame. So this one took a little bit of playing. I got those lily pads and it gave me a little bit of a run around those lily pads. So I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit, see if we can get to the netting stage. There we go, get his head up and we get him landed. This was a smaller one. It was probably around £3, but still welcome, and I was quite happy at this point. So back out again, casting out, feather it in, sink the line, and catapult some maggots over the top. Like I say, it's just a routine at this point now. 2 lots over the top. Now sometimes I did change. Sometimes I catapulted the maggots out first and then casted over the top, seeing if I can get some fish on the drop. That never happened, so it didn't actually matter whether I catapulted the maggots out first or after I'd casted my float out. So I was hoping, like I say, get some fish on the drop, but it just never happened on the day. So decided now just to feed the margins again. I haven't yet been on the margin. It was just going to be, I was getting bites, I was catching fish, I got feeding fish on this Waggler, so why bother coming into the margins? I've been feeding it all day long. You expect there's going to be some carp there, but I do try and give it a go later on. But this was the routine. So put some dead reds on the right hand side and some chopped mussels on the left. Potting those in, and it's always a bit of a risk when you're fishing with a rod, whether it's on a feeder or not, and you're trying to feed your margins at the same time. Probably something we shouldn't do, but how many times has it happened in if you're fishing the feeding, your tip's gone round? But on this occasion my float went under. I was bringing that cupping kit back, about to put it down, float shot, and I was able to pick my rod up. Got ourselves another decent fish. I thought it was a carp at the beginning, but it wasn't. We got ourselves a decent skimmer, probably around 2.5–3 pounds. Again, as good as catching a carp. I mean, this is probably in weight as big as that last carp I had, so I was quite happy. If these had come on my line now, I would be more than happy catching these for the rest of the match. But that was, like I say, nice surprise to catch that one. Decent skimmer. There we go, look. Get him in the net. So back out again, same routine. I catapulted some maggots over the top. I went to grab my cupping kit. I was going to feed that margin. Starting to rain as well now. You can see a bit of light rain. So I wanted to grab my coat. It felt like it was going to rain a bit heavier. I went to put some bait in that cupping kit. Then all of a sudden, float shot under, and we got another fish on. So I realised now at this point I needed to stop trying to feed at the same time as I had my Waggler out because the float was going under. Bites were coming nice and quick now. So this was a good fish, as you can tell, look. For whatever reason, every time I hooked it or hit into a carp, they wanted to go to the left. Every single time. I mean, all the water is out to my right, and they wanted to go over to the left in the corner. But we managed to get that one under control. I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit on this one. So this one did go into the lily pads on my left hand side, where I'd been feeding those mussels. So if there was any fish there, completely and utterly trashed it. But I'm sure if any carp had been coming in on those mussels, they'd been coming back. But there we go, look, we get his head up and we get him in. This one was around the sort of £7 mark. A good fish, really pleased with this one. There we go, look. So we get this one sorted, get the hook out, and we get him in the net. So we had a really heavy downpour rain for probably about 30 to 40 minutes. Interestingly, while it was raining, I didn't get a single bite. But when the rain just eased off, as you can see, got my jacket on now, the rain eased off. It's still spitting a little bit, but as soon as that rain eased off, I had another bite. So that rain had just put them off. I mean, they were still in the swim, but just not feeding, which is really strange when that happens. Never understood why that is. Guys, if you know why the fish stop feeding when it's raining, please do leave a comment on the video. I'd love to know. But there we go, look, we're into another decent fish. So this is going to make number 4. As I said right at the beginning, I felt like it was going to be around £30 or thereabouts, either probably plus or minus £5 either side of that. We'll probably win the match today. We'd had a couple of unusual days of weather. It was supposed to be warm, it wasn't. It wasn't the beginning of this match, and then it went cold, and then it started raining as well. So it knew it was going to be a bit of a funny day, but trying to catch around that £30 mark was key. So this is my 4th carp of the day. I'd already got those silvers as well, so I know I wasn't too far off that mark. But we're going to play this one. There we go, get his head up and get him in the landing net. So another decent fish. I think this one was around that sort of £5 mark as well. So we get the hook out and we put him in the net. There we go, another carp. So we're now into the back end of the match. We did get another downpour of rain, which then the bites did dry up a little bit. But then again, as soon as the rain eased off and it was just light drizzle, the bites would come back again. I did lose a catch, or I did hook into a couple of more carp. I did lose them, unfortunately. But that's how the day went. Guys, sometimes just getting back to basics. I just call Waggler fishing getting back to basics. It's a really, really simple technique. It's sometimes we just overlook it and we just don't do it. We get the pole out. But I think getting the Waggler out on the right pool, on the right day, with the right conditions, and you can get plenty of bites. And with just 2 pints of maggots, you can catch plenty of fish. It doesn't matter whether you're pleasure fishing or in a match. But that's what I did on the day, guys. I wanted to show you this. What I like to say is what I call getting back to basics. And throughout the day, I just did this. Like I say, I was topping up those left and right margins. I did go on those, the left margin and the right margin. I only spent 5 minutes on each. I didn't want to waste any time. I had no indications at all. I'm a firm believer, if you've got feeding carp in a swim, you're going to know about it, especially in a margin. You're going to know about it really quickly, whether that's just an indication on the float or whether you get a proper bite. But there was nothing at all. So I was I didn't really bother with the margins. I've been feeding them all day, but I just stayed on the Waggler where I had feeding fish. I ended up weighing in 27 pounds and 6 ounces, coming first in the match on the day, so really pleased with that. I think second was 15 pounds and third was 13 pounds. So it was a bit of a tough day with this rain. Everyone was struggling, and but I ended up having a good day. So guys, that's how the day went. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget, if you haven't already, please do go and subscribe to my channel. It is free and it's easy and it only takes 2 seconds. It's a massive help, more than you know. Also, don't forget to drop the video a like. And if you can spare 5 seconds at the end, please do go and leave a comment. Let me know how your fishing is going. Let me know how you fish the Waggler. Let me know if there's anything I could have done better on the day. But guys, hope you've enjoyed it. Tight lines, and I'll see you on the next one.